And I'm back immediately. No time has passed for me whatsoever. I did keep the looting 2 sword. I should. Okay. I'm going to start keeping this on my hotbar because I literally talked about this tip a little bit ago. Switching to a looting sword after shooting a ghast to increase your chances of getting ghast tears. Take cover! I know the first shot won't kill unless it's returned to sender. This ghast got hands. There we go. Switch to the looting sword. This pickaxe will break soon. I do have plenty of iron. I have sticks and crafting tables on me as well. I mean, yeah, this really isn't a problem. I hear an Enderman. I'm not going to tussle with an Enderman. Even with diamond equipment, Endermen still scare me. The ability to yeet yaw around and become essentially unkillable for a small period of time, combined with my impatience of not wanting to sit still, equals they can mess me up pretty quick. Now, I do stand by the fact that an Ender Pearl can save you if you fall into lava. Hey there, Enderman. Listen, pal. I don't care about you whatsoever. You do you. Let's look at our spoils of war. No ghast here from this one. No ghast here from this one. And a ghast here from this one. Which I'm pretty sure is the one I used looting on, but I'm not sure whether that actually came into play or not. Well, we got another ghast here. That's 6 full healing potions. Because remember, 1 regeneration potion is a slow tick of full HP. When I reach that point, that's what makes ghast tier so valuable. Regeneration is just going. An extended duration one will just heal me to full. And I mean, full health is valuable. Things have a harder time killing you from full. Also, if I'm in combat and I drink one, I can just retreat, bunker down, use my shield, whatever I need to stay defensively minded until I hit full health again, or I can continue the duration of it. So definitely pretty good. Uh, in the very late game, Dragon's Breath will allow us to make lingering potions. Uh, Regen will actually not be the top dog for that. A lingering health potion, if you do it right and you stand in like the center of it, heals you just to full HP. And it does it very quickly. Now, I mean, it's easier said than done to just collect Dragon's Breath when you can't regen HP. But you know, we're talking about hypothetical endgame stuff. I'm very happy with the haul from last episode. If you didn't watch the last episode, you should. This inventory explains nothing compared to the journey to obtain it. Actually, the inventory explains a lot. We got Treasure Bastion. With 14 gold blocks. I don't believe notch apples are craftable. If they are, I'm not going to. It's not saying that I think it's cheating. I think, well, first off, if you find one, I think that's goaded. Also, I just don't think they're craftable, so I'm not going to waste my time. Uh, I hate the sound of this biome. I hate this biome. Look at it. It's asking to kill me. And by staying, I would be obliging it. Um, I lost my train of thought. Notch apples. I think having one notch apple in the nether could save my life. For sure. Uh, but it's a lot of gold, and I don't think they're craftable anyways. I'll check just to be absolutely certain. Yep, not there. No crafting recipe. So you can't make them. It would make sense for me to barter for uh, fire resistance potions because, I mean, as it stands right now, if I fall into a pit of lava, that is just the run over. Well, I would have, because I'd have to get out and then I'd have to keep eating apples for the absorption and the regen. And unless I took very few fire ticks, that will kill me. It doesn't look like we're going to have any spottable nether fortresses, which is unfortunate. Would have been really nice to just clear out the nether without having to do much more work. Also, I've just been kind of wandering, a little bit lost. Not that I don't have the coordinates, because I do. But I know there's an easier way out of here because I got here. Okay, the noise is off-putting, but the Geiger radiation sound is very nice touch. I feel like the Nether is a perfect representation of like soft horror. And soft horror, for those of you who don't know, is things like, well, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. There's the looting sword, maybe. Yeah, there. See, demonstration of it working. That's 2 gas tiers from a single ghast. Just because I switched to the looting sword while shooting at him. I mean, gas tiers we've already discussed the value of. So we've been farming gas pretty nicely in this area. Don't want to run out of arrows. I do have a lot still. 9 spectral, 35 regulars, but don't push my luck. The soft horror is generally spooky elements within a non-horror title. Now, for those of you who haven't ever played Minecraft, it is a horror title. It'll try to convince you it's not, but I mean, you're fighting legions of the undead, kamikazes. I'm quite literally in hell right now. So, you know, it's definitely a horror game. No, but I mean, Minecraft's a sandbox game. And there are definitely spooky and off-putting elements. And that doesn't make a game a horror game. Right? Because there's a lot that goes into a good horror game. Building suspense and atmosphere of horror. The point of the game generally is to scare its player. By the way, I recognize where I am. Up there is my portal. And, you know, horror sort of falls on like a scale, right? And there's the bastion. So I can take a peek out this way, but this is more of a... No, if I lower myself down this way first, I can try to loop around that side. Yeah, we'll try that. So there's sort of like a scale to horror. Now, at the very bottom is like horror elements, or how I called soft horror, which is things like spooky ambient sounds, or, you know, certain creatures that are creepy. Like, you know, Endermen are a little creepy. Big spiders can be a little creepy. Half pig human, half like melting face flesh zombied pigman that can definitely be seen as horror. And sort of that Geiger, by the way, reason I keep bringing it up, that is the name of the device, the handheld device that detects radiation. And as it detects radiation, it creates a clicking noise, which is the radiation sound that I'm referring to, the Geiger counter. Um, Skeletons over there. I could technically try to farm arrows, but I think I'll just avoid them, try to conserve health, because I'm not desperate for arrows. Um, and that's what I'm referring to with the Geiger counter. Or counter? With the Geiger sound. It is very, very neat because the reason it works for horror so well is because of an association. On its own, that clicking noise isn't scary because it doesn't mean anything on its own. It becomes scary only when its association is with radiation. A general sort of just small clicking noise can be viewed as a little creepy, but the sound becomes scary if it means slow ambient poison. That's what radiation really is. But it's not just aimless poison, it's a very dangerous area. And it can cause you to become sick and it can kill you very quickly. And without a Geiger counter, there's no way of detecting it. It is an airborne toxin with no ability to remove it. And it is extremely scary stuff if you know what radiation can do. So that mild clicking sound of the Geiger counter is a little creepy. Which is why putting it as the ambient sound in another area is a soft horror element that I think is done very nicely. Minecraft doesn't do anything too overbearing, in my opinion. Everything is sort of well managed, well tempered. And I mean, I like it. I like how everything is done. Well, I mean, there are certain elements that I probably don't agree with that on, but you know. For the most part, as an overarching game, I like the concepts there within. To sort of talk about horror and its scale, I'm not a huge horror guy, because I'm a little wimp. There's the hole in the wall I made, which would be a safe way out of here, I imagine. So, I'm not a big horror guy. I'll play like weaker horror games, but I cannot hold my horror. And so I try to avoid horror games that are actually scary. Don't want to kill you over the lava. It's a waste of good resources because you'll totally drop for me a gas tier. So like, for me, my favorite horror game is Danganronpa 2. It's technically a horror game. It's a game about trust, betrayal, killing. But I mean, Danganronpa is the only horror tag it has is psychological, and that's because it's about trying to sort of like fuck with your perception on certain things. But I mean, Danganronpa's not scary, really. It can be off. It can be off-putting and off-settling, and some of the things they talk about are kind of metal, but not to the point of it being like, you know, it's not Amnesia. It's not. It's not even like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is just jump scares. Though there are no jump scares in Danganronpa. It's a visual novel, so there's not much really to be said about it in terms of its horror nature. Jesus Christ, the big guys are so tanky. He's still alive, huh? Oh, that did a little bit of damage. Killing them with the looting sword because, I mean, magma cream is craftable, but the resources it actually takes to craft aren't too appealing to have to go obtain. Because slime balls, you need slime, which isn't free. And we'll want that for other things as well. Up to 17. That should be enough fire resistance for the entire game, probably. Got touched once. Not a big deal. You know, Danganronpa, yes, it is a horror game. It counts. It is a correct genre to put it in. It's a visual novel, though. How much horror can you instill into a visual? Well, I have yet to play Steins Gate Elite, which I do own. I bought it. And I have yet to play it. And apparently that one is apparently just like supposedly better. No one ever goes, oh yeah, Steins Gate Elite, that's just better Danganronpa. They're very different. But it is a more in-depth story to it. I love Danganronpa. I'm not trying to shit talk it. But what I love about Danganronpa is not its horror elements. I love Danganronpa the very fun characters. I love the wacky anime bullshit. I love everything about like the trial system being very like Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney-ish in one regard, and then being, you know, just very wacky. The kills are all like extreme whodunits. And it's always like, your talent is the only way you could have done this. And it's like, we respect you as a person, but you killed somebody. You killed one of us. You betrayed our friendship. And all the executions, if we ignore the execution in Danganronpa 2, Chapter 3, are all pretty good. Hey there, pal. Did I leave anything in this chest? Golden pants. Certainly won't be needing those. Now we're back on the surface, and the surface is looking mighty bright and welcoming, I must say. I will put the looting sword away for a rainy day. Looting 2, it's not perfect, but I mean, 4 gas tiers. You're worse than that. Should I kill those chickens with the looting sword? Probably. Am I going to? Nah. Oh, there's a mesa biome right there. That's hilarious because mesa biomes come with gold. And they're abandoned mine shafts. Which I don't see any. Oh, yes, I do. it's right there. It's starting to rain, huh? But Danganronpa is fun because of its characters and its story and all of that. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not telling you to like Danganronpa. I'm telling you I like it. Oh, that's got to be a cave spider spawner right there. Right in there. Oh yeah, I didn't see it, but I know it. This is kind of like a visually amazing area right here. These spikes around this water. I would live here if it wasn't such a winding death trap for taking small amounts of damage over time until I consume endless amounts of resources just to stay alive. Though I do need to find a place to go. Oh, and it has that beautiful coral reef. I understand it's not as beautiful as a real one, okay? but I'm allowed to gush over Minecraft terrain. This will stop fall damage. And then have me be stuck in it, so I am vulnerable to any attack. What an exhilarating tunnel. What were they mining for? But yeah, that's my opinion on Danganronpa's horror. And then if we're gonna take a step up, I mean, I mentioned Five Nights at Freddy's earlier. It is a horror game. I am in the camp of people that thinks that horror done just by jump scares is a little cheap. Is it still horror? Absolutely. I'm not gonna say it's not, because I mean it is. I get scared when something leaps out onto the screen. I'm not. Don't worry about me inserting a jump scare in the post. I am not editing these videos. I want to record them. I want to play games. I want to rant. I don't want to edit a video. I'll render them to make them better, so that they're in a higher quality. So the audio is better too, because I'm already limiting how good the audio can get because I have just a headset mic. I've discussed getting a better mic in the future, in past episodes, or in a past episode. There haven't been that many episodes there. When you hear something spawn that immediately, it usually means spawner. And cave spiders are not worth even the mediocre amount of trouble they'll cause, because that poison just ticks away. But so Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror game. It is. It uses. We jumped right over that cave. It uses jump scares, but I mean, I'd say I'd be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy watching Markiplier play Five Nights at Freddy's. There's just something about it that's just so entertaining. I guess it's sort of a mix of like the overreactions. The overreactions are fun. I mean, that's why he does them, right? Because it is both fun to overreact to things and to, you know, watch somebody overreact. I mean, it is just fun, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, no, we need a place to settle down. Why not here? There's a mesa biome to the side. Do we care about the mesa biome? I don't really build with those blocks. There's a jungle right there for infinite melons, but I can only do that because I just have to turn one of those into a seed, and then I have infinite melons. So forest, very common biome. I don't know. I want to explore more before I lay down a place to live. For those of you who get annoyed by the fact that I don't just pick a location, bite me. Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a horror game. I've been entertained by it, and I'm sure it's scary to actually play. I didn't think I could do fall damage from that. But, you know, I think it's a little cheap in the way it does it. I do like the look of the animatronics in the game. I think they're a very cool looking system of enemies. Even the ones in the broken ass game Security Breach, they look very interesting. That's how you want your things to be described, as interesting. No, but I mean it. They have very unique design. That's a portal. There has to be, right? But I don't know. It's just, I guess the community is also like this happens in Danganronpa too. It's why and two meaning as well. It's why I'm sort of like upset to call myself a Danganronpa fan sometimes. Is the community really does make the game worse sometimes. And there's great members of the community, but there's also the terrible members of the community that force the game down people's throats. And that's the kind of thing I can't stand. And it's the same reason why it's like, yes, I enjoyed JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I will not just say, oh, yeah, no, I recommend it because I don't recommend. I think it's fun. I think you should watch it if you like a battle anime. But if you watch JoJo's and then you say, "Oh yeah, I like JoJo's," then suddenly it's like, "Oh, you're one of those people." It's like, "No, I'm not. Please. I have basic amounts of human understanding." The community of certain media products are just so forceful. And they just, "Oh, you watched JoJo's, but you didn't watch it right. Oh, this is your favorite part, but you're wrong. It's actually this one." Uh, just spam the same 5 memes over and over and over again. And then in a game like Danganronpa, it's like, you know, it feels like everybody who's obsessed with it is like an early teenager. And then if you enjoy it while you're not an early teenager, you can't really talk about it because everybody who's like an avid fan acts like a teenager. And it's just like, you don't want, everybody wants to have the youth and vitality of a teenager. No one wants to have the personality of a teenager. That isn't what anybody wants to be. Uh, and Five Nights at Freddy's has the same problem. And it's not necessarily anybody's fault. Also, some of those games do just feel like cash grabs. I'm just going to say it. When I saw, like, oh yeah, Matt Pat did videos back in the day. Yeah, I watched some of those. But then it just reached a certain point of it felt like the creator was literally just pumping out games and adding Easter eggs to them and just trying to keep a base coherency between the Easter eggs. And as long as he did that, he could convince everybody that there's actually a theory and there's a big world lore. And even somebody who looks at all the small details, like Matt Pat goes, oh, well, we just don't have all the details yet. And that's the only reason we can't. But that guy spends all that time looking into the small details. It seemed like Cawthon realized that he had a cash cow because everybody was playing his easy to play, nice little game. And then, you know, you have. I can't live here. This place isn't too bad, but there's a lot of just pits in the ground because the entire floor is cut weird. Tectonic plates and all that. Um, Not Teutonic, tectonic. Teutonic is like the knights from the Holy Roman Empire, right? Those were the Teutonic knights. Tectonic plates. Anyways, it felt like a cash grab to me, and I'm sure that if you're an avid fan of the community, good. Stay a fan. Enjoy yourself. Don't let me shit talk what you like. Enjoy it. Have fun. It's just in the end, I'm never going to be an avid super fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. When a new piece of the media comes out, I go to the YouTube channels of why do I keep doing that? I knew I was going to take fall damage when I did that. I still check out YouTubers who I know are going to play it. I go, all right. Oh, I've heard about Security Breach getting a DLC. Hey, Markiplier, you playing this? Sure enough, he did. Sorry. Uh, sure enough, he did. He played it, and I had fun watching him play it. And then, the game obviously has some problems, not just you know, visual glitches, the glitches, all the glitches. There's just a lot of them, and the story it tells isn't coherent enough for me. I do like when a story doesn't feed it down your throat. I don't like it when a story is impossible to understand without somebody explaining it to you. Uh, I like when there's a middle ground where you have to make some inferences in the story yourself. Security Breach somehow misses on both marks, where I don't know what the fuck Ruin is supposed to be, but at the same time, I can tell you exactly what happened in FNAF Security Breach. So, you know, it's a combination. When I say exactly, I don't mean exactly. I don't know the game that well. I watched like a dude play it on the internet. That's my basic understanding of the game. Um, but I was explaining different levels of horror. Five Nights at Freddy's, they do have different levels of horror within the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. And I do think it's a neat franchise. The first game is a very basic, very simplified version of what its entire outcome will be, but that's because it was the first. It doesn't have the other games yet. Two is probably the coolest. Just out of virtue of it adds new characters and new mechanics, and it does away with the power-based dying, which can't feel rewarding to just run out of power. I guess it might, because that was the reason. Anyway, I think two is just cooler. I don't have a good reason. I like how they added new characters. I like how there's a few different ways things can happen. I do think Balloon Boy and I don't know what JJ stands for, but BB and JJ are the stupidest things you can add to a game like that. It just disables one of your security measures if you don't do the security against them, but they don't kill you, so it's okay. Like, I don't. And they have the most annoying laugh. I mean, God, it's so bad. So yeah, those guys I don't like, but overall I like how it's like the old animatronics look old and weathered. The new ones look very good. They look brand new. I like Mangled being just a collection of parts that is now together. I don't care about the winding of the music box. It's something, I guess. It's something that forces you to move around the map and look at things. Which, I mean, it's a balance thing. Go for it. And I don't really have many complaints. I never played these games. Again, I've watched people play these games. I do not have my own personal experience playing this game. Some of these games might feel more satisfying to play than others. Three looked unfun. To me, it looked simplistic, unfun. I think Springtrap himself looks pretty cool, but I mean, let's be honest, that doesn't make up for how just. And the jump scare, I mean, hilariously bad just walking into the room. But what else we got? Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Which one was 4? Was 4 with like the nightmare animatronics? Okay, let's go to my phone. Okay, Google. Doesn't respond when I say I have to click on the microphone. That's right. Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
According to Five Nights at...
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is the nightmare animatronics. It is the in the bedroom, closing the doors. It's a reimagining of like the first game. Again, I didn't like the power system, so the fact that they don't have that is very neat to me. And sort of like the monsters is again it ups the horror element, right? Because the monsters themselves are scarier. Hey, there's a village. Um, the monsters themselves are scarier looking. And I mean, they do look very cool. The multiple rows of teeth that are just like just like an endless maw. It has like a mild eldritch element to it, and I've discussed in the past. I love a good eldritch game. I love a good eldritch fusion. Wait, desert village. The boy, he can exist here. Show me him. Yes, yes, yes. It's my best friend. I don't have a lead this time. Everything is right in the world. Um, but I like that kind of stuff. I think they looked very cool, and I thought the plush like little demons were also pretty neat. I did not check that village for loot. I don't care. I'm friends are worth all of the treasure, even if he is slower than me by a substantial margin. Uh, Look at him. He's so cool, and he's so healthy. You don't follow the rules of super hardcore, do you? You probably just regen. So you could tank hits for me. Not that I'm going to use you as like a bullet shield, but like, you could be very cool. Uh, and I mean, the FNAF franchise is a decent horror game. Uses decent horror elements, scary looking creatures, and I guess it does tell a story, but not one I really care enough for. Uh, so in terms of a horror property, it lacks. And then the next step up, you probably got something like, I don't know, Dead by Daylight, which is technically a horror game, but because it's about like you're getting chased and killed, and I mean it's definitely a horror game. That's just true. Is there like a little oasis, or is this just a river? Oh, it's just a river biome. Um, but I mean, it's either getting chased by a killer, and the killers are kind of cool looking. But I mean, there's a lot of, and the game is entirely made of horror motifs. But I mean, all in all, let's be honest, the game isn't scary. I mean, I'm sure it was scary for me at some point, but I don't play a lot of it anymore. Again, this is a game I have played before, but it is mainly watch. Uh, and you can get jump scared, but the game doesn't use jump scares. And then above that, you've got like actual horror games. Like first, we talk about more mediocre ones like Slender, which I mean, it's scary. It is made entirely of horror motifs. It's got the creepy guy trying to kill you while you have an objective. I mean, it's a horror game. Uh, but it's not as scary to me as something like, you know, very recently Amnesia the Bunker came out. And that was like a horror game players like paradise. Um, and you know, that's I'm really glad that that type of game exists. It has a monster. It has a lot of classic horror elements. Uh, Up there with that game is like the Resident Evil games. Because even Village, which had Goofy and it had like, oh yeah, Resident Evil Village, 8 foot vampire mommy and stuff like that. Uh, you know, the game had its horror elements. It wasn't. It wasn't nothing. Uh, Being swarmed by bugs. I mean, that's a scary enough concept. And I said, "Yep, what a concept." But you know, it's the game had horror in it. If you say it doesn't, I mean, you're just godly, I guess. But it had monsters and chases and stuff. 2 gold blocks at this guy. Very inviting. How many pieces of obsidian? Enough to actually fulfill it. Water next to it. If I could find a lava pool to finish it better. I have 5. I need 3. I have a bucket. A big man. I'm going to create a little hole for you. And this hole doesn't look too comfy at the moment, pal, but I mean, just bear with it for a little bit. I don't want you roaming off. You're going to be fine, man. I'm not enchanting immediately anyways. I can just do this. Let me take this just in case. But what was I saying? Yeah, it's a horror game. And so it has horror elements. That's what horror games do. There's a flint steel in here, right? Yeah. You pick a block swell in there. We do need to destroy this one. I mean, it's just horror games don't jive with me. They're just not my style. But they do scale, and I'm sure there are some very good horror games. I've watched some people play some horror games like shit, I think it was just called House. It was a very neat. It had a lot of like small amounts of creepy in it. I mean, yes, if those are your style, there are some great horror games out there. Unfortunately, I'm like a strategy game player and a JRPG player, which is just like the most unfortunate of things. But there is one final tier of like horror. It is the scariest. I'm just checking for lava underneath. There, it's just like most people would agree. It is the scariest. Because even like the players of the game become a little bit fucking like weird after playing it. Genshin Impact players know what I'm talking about because Genshin Impact, I mean, there's no humanity left afterwards. It is terrifying how little is left of a human being in that. I mean, it's one of those games where... Is this the same portal? No, it's not. That guy's scaring me, but he's not doing anything. But yeah, Genshin Impact has to be like the most terrifying game. I'm scared of people who have a lot of time in that game. Uh, I fear downloading that game, as I believe, as part of its contractual obligation, it steals your soul and your wallet. Uh, I fear that if I played that game, even free to play, which would already be like God's strongest soldier, uh, I fear that I would just end up free rolling a child, and then my life would be over. If not because the game forced my life to be over, because I would want it to be over after that point. And I mean, it's a game where it requires the players of the game to take extreme real world risks. And I mean, if you're able to do that, then you're just like a stronger person than me. Because I could not bring myself to do that. But yeah, we made some good progress today. And remember, you know what caused all this progress today? I was shirtless. That's right. The guns are out in full swing. Man, I'm very tired. I was hoping to see just like some fortress so we could get our steady source of healing. I mean, we have so much gold that we could make a ton of golden apples to sustain us for a long time, but I mean, the difference is it's 8 gold for 1 heart versus 8/9 of an ingot for 12 hearts. I mean, the exchange rate isn't even close. Golden apples are more useful. They stack, they give absorption hearts. Um, so they're better in the immediacy. They also heal a bit of hunger. They're all around very good items. But the healing potion, far more valuable. Also, regen potions we have in the cards because each one is essentially 3 full health. But yeah, we've ranked the horror games from Minecraft to Genshin Impact. Put in the comments your favorite horror game and why it's League of Legends. Fuck, I'm tired. That's an Illager tower. I can't be bothered. I'm gonna get over to this spot of Greenland. I gotta take a shower and just go to sleep. I hope I don't have nightmares about meeting a Genshin Impact player in the real world. That's a joke. They don't exist in the real world.